meeting of the Rochester Downtown Development Authority for Wednesday, April 17, 2024. Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
Tony LaPuma.
Here.
Tanya Karsten.
Here.
Paul Hay.
Here.
Eric Diana.
Here.
Roger Knapp.
Yes.
Bob DiTomaso.
Here.
Stuart Bixson.
Here.
Ben Giovanelli.
Here.
Marilyn Trent.
Here.
Don Sinkowitz.
Here.
Christy Trevorrow.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Fantastic. Welcome. I'm glad everybody survived the onslaught of the storm this evening. I got a text from a friend of mine who lives in Warren, and it looks like they had a tornado over there, so, or at least a garage had blown over, so I have no idea what it is. No bueno. So if anybody's out there and you're having issues, our thoughts are with you and clean up. First on the agenda here, approval of the meeting minutes, regular meeting of March 2024, closed meeting March 2024, special meeting March 28, 2024, special closed meeting March 28. Man, we've been busy. March 28, 2024. Any questions on the motion, on the minutes, or is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Audience comments. I don't know, we get him up here, we'll never be out of here, so. Nick, so. Good evening, Mr. Mann. Liaison reports. City Council, Honorable Marilyn Trent, good evening.
All right, so we had a couple of meetings, and one of them was March 25th. We had a presentation of a Good Neighbor Award to Matthew Vizana. He's a very good neighbor,
I
did
saw
a
that.
lot of good things, and quite a few people showed up to support him. And this is a quarterly award, so if anybody knows of a good neighbor, you can always go to the City Beautiful Commission page and put their application in. So
What about bad neighbors?
It makes them feel good. It does.
Got the bad neighbor.
Yeah. So then we had a public hearing. Well, we have a lot of events coming up. We got to approve the downtown Rochester Makers Market event, the Gun Violence Awareness Month to have an orange ribbon campaign. A couple of 5K runs if anybody wants to join that. Get ready and start exercising more. It's a Rah Rah Earth Day 5K run coming up, and the Shine Bright Family Fun Run. People like to do a lot of 5Ks around here. Public hearings. We had a public hearing for consideration of the special project and site plan approval for 100 diversion at 110 and 100 South Street. They were both passed. You might know those projects being built on Diversion Street.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And a public hearing for consideration of, there's two. There's the preserves, and then there's 210 diversion as well. So that was approved and passed. We had legislative deliberation of an ordinance amendment for short-term rentals, and that was quite a robust discussion.
I can only imagine.
And we punted it over to planning.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
Hot potato, hot potato.
Yeah.
Cold
Well,
spaghetti.
we'll come back.
Yeah, I know.
We'll come back to this, right? So on April 8th, we had a presentation from Harmony Lloyd. I love that name, Harmony. Harmony Lloyd regarding the smart bus update. I believe there were two of you were there. You heard
Yes,
it.
it was great, yeah.
And Giovanelli, it's starting April 26th. The 492 of Rochester will be arriving. And I think they're putting a pad in front of my house.
Uh-oh.
So anyway.
Now you got to ride downtown again.
I can get on that bus and go anywhere I want.
That's right.
And
With your
down to
$2.
Detroit.
It's $2 though.
I know. I
Okay.
think I could afford it. So they have Auburn Hills, Rochester, Rochester Hills, Troy, Clawson, Royal Oak, and Glendale. And if you were thinking of going to the draft day in the D, you could just get on that bus and head south.
And admire the logo work.
I just happen to know about it.
Yes, I do.
So then we had a lovely presentation by Chairman Giovanelli and Christy Trevorrow, Executive Director of the DDA, about the Graham's Farmer Market expansion and the DDA budget preview. And that, after that, what else can we say? Meeting was over.
Right? Mike toss? No, it wasn't. I wish.
Yeah.
We still got a lot of work to do. Thank you for that update. Any questions for our council representative? Seeing none, we shall march forward. Chamber of Commerce. Bob DiTomaso has been drafted by the Chamber of Commerce to be our new liaison.
So
the
Chamber is announcing the 2024 Memorial Day Parade of Heroes. It takes place Monday, May 27th. It's a collaboration between the Chamber, City of Rochester Hills. Whole day's events are on the Chamber website. I kind of have a list here I can go through quickly. Parade starts at 9 a.m. and will utilize the route that was used in past years. They go down Castell to Harding, then to Livernois to Avon, and ends at the Veterans Memorial Point. Foundation would also like to let everyone know that the annual Chamber Golf Outing is scheduled for June 10th at Cherry Creek Golf Club. All proceeds from the golf outing go towards programming the Chamber does yearly. You can register for that event on the Chamber website. It is their only fundraiser of the year, so participate if you are a golfer and you like that. The schedule for May 27th is lowering the flag at 8 a.m. Parade starts at 9. Memorial Day ceremony, 10:30 at Veterans Memorial Point. And hot dogs at the Rochester Fire Department from 11:30 to 1:30. So make a day of it.
Indeed. Fantastic. Golf outing is always fun. A special award for the most beer cans in the cart at the end of the round. Great.
No, and I've worked it before. You don't have to golf to participate. You can.
Just hang out? Oh, dear. Have to sign a waiver, though, I think. Thank you for your update. We appreciate it. Historical Commission, Mr. Sinkowitz. So Don's going to be doing a presentation on the historical plaque thing. So did you want to do both at once, or did you want to let Paul go through and do Principal Shopping District and then, or do them separate, I guess? We could do either way, whichever works for you.
Why don't you do both?
Okay.
Do both.
Go ahead, get after
Then
it.
I'll go back on.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'll do the historical house plaques program.
Perfect.
As I mentioned in the past, I like pictorial things. So I took the data, that Lynn Anderson puts together of all the plaques. And I put them into graphs so we can take a look at it. So if you
want
can
this one?
back up just a little.
Back up this
here.
one?
Yeah.
All right.
So there, as of February 24th, there were 148 plaques issued altogether. 9 plaques issued last year in 2023, and 1 plaque issued so far this year is at 2024. That was as of February 24th. So I don't have the new data if additional plaques have been awarded to since that time. So I have 3 slides here put together. The first slide shows the historical plaques based on the year the houses were built. And if you can scroll up a little bit, well, it's kind of hard to see the dates. But what's interesting there, when you look at the years that some of these plaques were issued to the houses, there's some significant historical activities that happened during those periods of time. World War I occurred from 1914 to 1918, and then there was the Great Depression. And a lot of those houses appear to be built during those periods of time. So that's kind of interesting when you look at it from a graphical standpoint. You can go to the next one. The next slide was based on the year the plaques were issued. Can you shrink it? Is it
Yep,
possible?
I can go
shrink?
smaller. Yep, hang on. There it is.
So the banner year was 2010. We had 28 plaques issued during that period of time. And as you see, that was the peak. And I'm anticipating now that the pandemic is over and there has been some reductions with support from the city on the plaques, that we'll start seeing more and more plaques. Of course, we're running out of houses because of the time period. And unfortunately, as you'll see on the next slide, you can go to the next slide. This is based on the streets that plaques have been issued to. It just happens that 3rd Street has the most plaques. And I only put the streets here that had 5 or more plaques issued. Unfortunately, on 3rd Street, just talking about 3rd Street, there probably should have been 3 more plaques on there, but unfortunately, those houses were torn down and are building new ones. Well, 2 are in progress. 1, I'm assuming, will be a new house at some point. So again, these are only 5 or more plaques per street. I combined, Main Street because they had North Main Street and Main Street separate. So I just combined that to one bar. That was 11 plaques. What's interesting is there's 43 different streets that have plaques on them in Rochester. And when you think about the size of Rochester, that's an awful lot of streets for when you look compare the size. So that's where the plaque program stands today, as far as amount issued, where they're at, and so forth.
So you go on the website, the city website, to order one, or?
Yes, you get it through Lynn Anderson. She pretty much takes care of
Yeah,
all
I know
that.
you talked about that.
And then she has support from various individuals to help.
But there's stipulations to get a plaque.
Really, the stipulation roughly would be, have some historical information about the house. And even if the house was modified to some extent, if some of it still exists from the original house, like the house next door to myself is the original house from 1878, I believe. The foundation and the what would you call it, the decking is all the original, and then they built around it. And Lynn, and she gets help from Miss Larson, so they do a very good job of helping individuals research the house to find out that what history is there. So
Wonder if they might be able to put in the city newsletter or something, too.
I think it has been in the past. There has been. Yeah.
And then there's a matching funds or something from the city, right?
Yes,
Or
yes.
historical? Okay.
Yes, they reduced it's reduced the cost to the individual by the funds from the city, yes.
So the total is what, 100 or 100?
100, I believe
150?
150.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's crazy, just to think of it. So I think 1969 I saw up there. So my house was, actually our house, and it's weird, I didn't even think of it, it was actually the first house in the Great Oak subdivision. So it was the original model. So, but it's 69, I'm like, I just didn't even occur to me to put a historical plaque on it. I think it's kind of crazy, but then again, I'm old.
Are there any
so.
tax benefits or anything?
No, sometimes, and I was going to bring this up. So some cities and some municipalities that have this also, it comes along with, rightly or wrongly, comes along with restrictions on what can be done and what can't be done. This is just more or less a designation of historical significance. It's not it doesn't hamstring any property owner, so it's important that is also made.
In some areas, to support that, you have to get permission for the color of the house.
Right, the materials,
Shutters,
yeah,
colors,
everything,
the
yeah.
roof colors, the landscaping.
Yeah, because I can remember, I was actually on council in 2010 when we did that, and there was a bunch, we had them all presented here, so I remember. Pretty fantastic. Yes, Roger, please.
What is the oldest house in Rochester, and what year would that be?
I believe it was around 18, it's the house that, no, it's not that house. The house that was on the street that goes up behind the swim place.
Where?
Diversion.
I think I have that, yeah.
Those two houses that are up around that curve?
Oh, that
That's-
house, yeah,
That old place.
that old place.
That one's 1863. It's Penny and Frank Reedish,
You know,
and that's on Bloomer.
Bloomer, that's it, yeah.
the house that I lived in at one point was 1863, and they just tore it down. It was on North Lane,
Yes.
yeah.
And I think, let's see,
Can't think of the name of that family that lived in that house you're talking about. They lived there until just a few years ago. Generation after generation.
Roger, clear.
well, that's the one on Bloomer.
The one on Bloomer.
It's reddish. And that has a state plaque
Whichever one.
in front of it.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I thought that one on North Lane was also in here, in the list.
Might be kind of a fun exercise in historical to just, whatever those, the top 5 oldest structures in the city, just to kind of celebrate them and that sort of thing. Just would be curious to.
There's quite a few from the 1894, 1890. Those are on West 4th. As I mentioned, the one on Bloomer was 1863. There's a 1882 on East Street.
There's a 902 Fairview,
1890.
1890.
1872.
Sheesh.
That's actually Lynn Anderson's house on Harrison. I guess her house is listed on Harrison. 1863 on Ferndale.
Sure.
1872 on West Fourth. So there's quite a few houses.
I
from
think mine's
1800s
about
still.
1880.
Commercial.
It's fantastic. And just the dedication to folks keeping those places up is really to be admired, because nowadays most people are like, yeah, I need a walk-in closet and I need blah, blah, blah. You just, that's not how these work, right? So.
Oh, yeah, and
They
then
can.
trying to update them to the
Right, it's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah. So it's
Is
a labor of love, for
Home
sure.
Bakery, is that the oldest commercial building?
That I don't know. I think that's a state. I believe that's a state building.
It is a designation, yeah, it is on there, but I can't think of anything that would be
I think
anywhere
it's
near
the
it.
oldest
think-
commercial building, I believe.
Mrs. Buckerfield told me that the building next to the tea room that is closest to the meeting house was the oldest building in,
I don't think so.
no.
I don't think so, yeah.
I think I read somewhere that it's the bakery. I feel like I used that for dancing the street trivia one year, so it must be true. But, but I think I got it from Pat. Pat McKay sent me a bunch of fun facts, and I feel
Gotcha.
like that was on it.
Well, I mean, this is way more fun to be talking about this all night, but in all honesty, I think it'd be super fun to find out these oldest structures and have them sort of, and just do a separate acknowledgement for just, maybe we can put it in the grant.
Yeah, Gus O'Connor's and the Paint Creek Tavern are listed here. There's 1415-1417 is 1896. I don't know the address of the home bakery offhand.
300 Main,
It would be 302, is that what you said?
300.
Yeah, 302 Main.
Close enough.
No, it's actually not listed here.
It's too
Yeah, I actually pulled a ton of historic, even when we were a toll road. I pulled a ton of stuff out of up of the home bakery and done it at the Historical Society.
Sounds like stuff for the gram, just saying. All right.
Pat's already poking around for us.
Gotcha, fantastic. All right, well, thank you for that. That's actually fantastic information, and it's, it's a testament to, making sure that we acknowledge our heritage in the community, and folks that are, like you, are making sure that we're staying on top of it.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, no, totally. So, and then if, we've already covered, if anybody's interested in it, to go ahead and reach out to Historical. So, did you have anything else in your update?
No, that should do it.
All right.
The Heritage Festival is coming up,
Yep.
Memorial Day weekend. Next meeting, I'll have an update on that as
Cool.
far as the entertainment goes, vendors and so forth.
Gotcha. Always a fan favorite, so I'm looking forward to it. Any questions for our historical liaison? Seeing none, we shall march forward. I'm up next.
Oh, Paul.
Oh, no, I'm not. Paul's up next. Principal Shopping
Okay.
District, sorry.
Well,
I was out of order.
PSD is always very busy, and the sidewalk sales, July 18th, 19th, and the Dancing in the Street, July 19th, from 6 to 10. We've got Movies in the Moonlight, which is always a great favorite. And all the pre-entertainment before Movies in the Moonlight is always fun. It's from 6:30 to 10, or to 11:30, but you have, the movie starts at 8:30. But before that, people who don't go to that are missing out on some great entertainment. We've got the farmer's market, which is, well, we're going to talk about that tonight.
Funny, we should bring that up.
Then we got the Makers Market on June 22nd. And there's tons more that the PSD does. So that's a short list.
Fantastic. Thank you for that update. Keep things hopping as usual. Any questions for our Principal Shopping District liaison? Seeing none and marching forward. Now I think it's my turn. Speaking of farmers market, have a little update to bring you guys up on. So, in terms of hot off the press, I think this is about an hour and a half old. So, we did get first draft yesterday afternoon, and then we met with the architects today at 2 and went through and had some additional changes made. So, I don't know, I got it in my email like I said, about an hour and a half ago, and I'm like, all right, so we'll make sure that you guys get this emailed to you. There just wasn't, my point is there wasn't enough time to have printed copies to hand to you, but it's really just sort of pictures at the moment. So I'm going to drag this out as long as possible so you can't see what's going on. I'm just kidding you. Let's get after it, Madam Director. All right, we have updated the schematics and incorporated some changes. So once again, this is artist rendering, as it were. This particular location, or view, as you can see, is the building that we're acquiring is in the upper left-hand corner. It has a facade put on the front of it, which we'll get to in a second. The driveway going into the space has been widened. The plan is to use Main Street bricks liberally throughout there, and we were sort of joking today, like the Indy 500 will have the brick, where you go across the bricks there at the Indy 500. But
You don't have to kiss them like they do, right?
you never know, man. It's
Okay. All right.
if we get this project done, I'm kissing the bricks. I'm telling you. But yeah, so we're incorporating as many of them as possible. And we'll get to the facade and the design in a second. The nature of the bricks, though, they're super heavy and they're not designed for houses and putting
Not
up in
designed
the
for
air.
masonry, no.
They're designed to be on the ground, so.
Yeah, street bricks.
They're street bricks, so they're super heavy and not practical to use as really anything other than that. So we will incorporate them as much as possible. We do have a few 100,000 laying around, so we should have plenty. So this is, as I said, Farmers Market Day. The green tents really are just, if you were looking at this from the same vantage point on a regular Farmers Day, it would be multiple different kinds of tents and configurations. This is just to give you an idea of the amount of spaces that are being picked up in Farmers Market on Saturday. So one of the directives that came from the Site Development Committee was to not impair parking spots to the extent that we possibly could, to leave as much parking in the existing lot as possible. So this particular plan does that. The white building with the fancy fruit on it, as you see there, that actually is the Huntington Bank building. We don't have permission to put anything on their building yet. This is just an artist rendering, but that, just to kind of give you sort of a bearing as to where we're at. In terms of ingress and egress, the existing stairs, certainly the ones coming from the upper lot down, are in really good shape, so we decided not to do anything there. There was some initial discussion about moving the staircase over closer to the Huntington Bank building and making that straight, but it was just, it seemed like a project without any reason, and it was expensive. We just decided to sort of leave things as they were, trying to be mindful of budget. And then the hill designs, so the trees, we're going to get some help on the landscaping part of it. We're trying to keep it as cost-effective as possible and roll into things in as much as we can with the budget that we have to work with that's going to be designated. Go ahead, the next one. So this will be during the day. I don't suspect there'll be a bunch of people walking around the parking lot by itself unless it's like 6 a.m. or something, but so during the week, this is what it's going to look like there. So the front facade of the entranceway, or the stage area of the market, is going to take up, what do we say, 11 spots, Roger?
It went from 87 to 66.
69, I thought.
21 spots.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're chopping up a few spots there to do that. So that, we wanted to make the impact as least as possible. So there is going to be some spots that will be taken up by the redesign of that. And we'll get to the pictures in a second, but this will sort of give you an idea of what it looks like during the day, and this will be, once again, the parking system is managed by the city. The DDA has nothing to do with it. So it'll be up to council to decide, how and what they do to that lot and whatever. But our plan would be to resurface it, put in electric and water in certain points, new lights, and really that's about it. So next one. All right, so this would be on Second Street. So as you're going down Second Street, yeah, so the idea, like we talked about before, is we wanted to try and make it look like it's been there forever. So the idea is that the building is going to be pretty much nothing inside of it, just an open space. We're going to let folks kind of grow into it and let the public decide how they want it to be used. We are going to and I stole this idea from Brown Iron Brewery because they were going to put a patio out there. I thought it looked awesome. So we're going to put a little concrete pad out front, and patio, for lack of a better descriptor. And you can see there's a dude here. So right now, this door doesn't exist, so that will be a new entrance, double door entranceway. And then the 4 roll-up doors on this side. There's currently a man door, I think, right here. That will be removed and the 4 doors put in. I don't have a microphone on the TV, guys. I can hear them yelling at me. In order to have the shade structures and still preserve the parking on the lower level, we moved them to the top up here. It seemed to work out really well. That was a great suggestion by our vice chair, so nice job, Tony, on that one. That was fantastic. We did, and then the Tivoli lights across, just sort of a aesthetic ad. But yeah, so this is the look at it as you'll be turning in off Second Street. Next one. And this is the standing in the parking lot, looking at the building from the front. So we incorporated, or the architects did an outstanding job of incorporating the look and feel of Eastern Market with the arches in the brick. There is a awning structure there that is a hard roof. It's not a tarp or anything like that. Had to put bollards in there and some planters to discourage people from driving their cars up there and doing burnouts and stuff like that, because, you can't legislate morality, right, Mr. Mayor? So it's all brick facade. So that is all, once again, we can't use any of the current Main Street bricks on building facade, so it'll be a look-alike, sort of new brick, but they said that they should be able to get that, no problem. But extensive use of brick, and I'm going to let me add just a quick ask, but what building does that remind you of that happens to be very nearby?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
What building does that remind you of that happens to be very nearby?
The firehouse.
Firehouse.
100%, yeah. If you look at it, it's the first thing I saw. I'm like, oh, that's the fire station. So it's great. So it's going to look like it looks like it's been there forever. The two look very, very similar in design. Like I said, the design with the arches from the Eastern Market inspiration was fantastic. And then also other places you'll see here, they incorporated some of the design elements from Mills. So I'm an accountant, not an architect, but I understand that architects generally will go through and take elements of the surrounding properties and try to incorporate them, and I think they've done just an outstanding job here. Next one. All right, so this is the layout on the inside. So the current light yellow space is the building as it exists today. Once again, it's an animal hospital. There's stuff in there to do animal hospital type things, so that will be totally gutted up to the ceiling, and it'll be left completely open. There will be a man door, a double-wide door. You kind of see it down there in the lower left corner going into the lobby, atrium, and into the bathrooms. This will provide the ability to have the bathrooms open to the public, but not the rest of the facility during, when the facility is not being used. So the bathrooms will be separate ingress and egress from the bathrooms. As you walk in from the outside into go a little bit further to the left there. Yep, so you're walking into the lobby. The office immediately to the left right there is the food program administrative office, janitorial closet, family bathroom. And then you would go straight ahead. You got a choice to go left or right depending on your which one you want to use. And that's it.
How you identify?
Correct. I wasn't going to say that, but thank you for saying that. And then utility storage behind. And then also storage on the left there. And the way that they've got it structured is the ceiling is high enough that there's going to be the bathrooms, and then there's going to be sort of a mezzanine on top. So we're going to have tons of storage. It's going to be fantastic. And then you've got 4 12-by-12 roll-up doors on that side facing the parking lot, and then 2 on the back side, which we'll see in a second. Level, kind of looking at it. So as you know, the property, actually the parking lot is higher?
The parking lot's about 4 feet higher.
The parking lot is 4 feet higher than the building, so we've got a grade change there. So the architects have come up with a plan to use that to our advantage. So the stage is going to come out from there, and then we're going to be able to use stuff under it for storage, and then also to, as we talked about, the storage mechanical and the mezzanine. So the bathrooms will have normal, I don't know how high these things are, like 9 foot, 10 foot. I don't know if they'll be this high, but they'll be pretty good sized height bathrooms, ceilings, and then above that we'll have storage. So it's going to work out great. What the good news is that there's a mezzanine in the existing building that's being totally taken out. So it's going to be just wide open. This would be the view of the building going down Second Street, looking to your left. Largely as it is today, they're going to add 2 roll-up doors. But the nice thing about the roll-up doors, especially the one on the far right, to our right, is it's dock height. So if it's used during the day by other farmers that, are loading stuff in and out, they'll be able to back a truck right up there and get on in there and do their thing. And then the man door to get in a little bit farther to the right there, and then there's a dumpster enclosure. I thought it looked small as heck. I was told that's 5 foot. I'm like, I don't believe you, but apparently that's a good-sized dumpster enclosure. So you guys know my passion of being involved in the dumpster business in the DDA, so I can't wait to get involved with that one. All right, inside. So once again, just wide open. So the red wall there that you see, and then the one kind of the wall we would be standing at looking at, so there'll be walls on either side. That largely is going to be occupied with sort of our artifacts and whatever else is going on there. So we'll, I don't know if our architects had historical artifacts to hang on the wall there, so.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so, but that's the idea. So, where you see red would be, exhibits and that sort of thing. And then also on the wall that we're sort of, if we were standing on one looking the other way. Just fans wide open, obviously heated and air conditioned. I was informed that the air, because of the number of people that come through there, there's rules on air handling and all kinds of stuff. So our HVAC's pretty expensive. I had no idea, but I'm just like, just leave the doors rolled up and call it good. But apparently we can't do that, so.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are those center tables there, are they going to be permanent?
No. It's going to be wide
It's all
open.
open.
Yep. You can do pickleball in there, I guess, whatever you want. Whatever you can set up inside there, you're good to go. It's, but yeah, that's just for pictures. You can see they got some picnic tables over there, and I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have picnic tables. But yeah, just to give you an idea of the feel of the space. So it's 5,200 square foot.
About 4,800, I think, is what was on the
Oh, for some reason I thought 52 something.
That was the addition, maybe?
52, okay, existing building's 5,267.
Yeah, gotcha. So that's 5,200 square foot. So pretty good sized space. It's not tiny.
I think it says 4750 in the square.
Yeah, in the square for this.
Oh, gotcha.
little thing right here.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the addition is the darker sort of manila color. Okay, so this would be the ADA access. So we're working through parking, handicap parking and all that stuff. So this is all going to come from Planning Commission and NVIDIA and like I said, I'm an accountant. I'm not a parking expert. So there's all sorts of rules that will govern this and they'll get us through it. But be that as it may, the idea is that there'll be handicap parking with folks to have easy access to both the existing building and then getting up into the lot or coming down from the lot down into the restroom and back and forth. So this actually worked out great, worked out to our advantage, and the grade only being 4 foot versus the other stuff we had in the plan that shall not be named made it a lot more cost effective for us to utilize this versus digging into a hill and doing a bunch of stuff. So this worked out great. So we thought this was a great idea and a nice problem solved by the architect. With respect to plantings you see and everything there, we're going to reach out to our friends in the various natural areas that know what kind of plants we should be planting, and we'll be leaning on you guys heavily to sort of help us out. But the good news is that, from a spend standpoint, is that there's not going to be a ton of landscaping involved because we're not really doing anything with the existing, which is great. And then this would be sort of looking back at it from, if you were standing on the roof of, I don't even know what that would be, so.
Sitting in the upper lot.
Gotcha. Oh, upper lot, yeah, looking down. So this would be Farmers Market Day, and kind of give you a look and feel of what it might look like. I thought it was funny, the architects grabbed the hook and bells with our little banners on there and stuff. That was hilarious.
Nice little touch to throw.
Yeah, for sure. But the idea is to put in as many shade trees as possible and have it so there's natural shade occurring rather than putting up hard structure. And that was sort of it. We got another one there? I can't remember.
I think that's it for the slides, and then I can go to the budget.
Yep,
when
go
you're
ahead.
Ready for that.
All right, so
Greenland over there.
I know. Too bad it's not there. Right? So the architects or the project folks have come up with sort of an initial budget, overall probable budget. In our discussions with them, my thing is once bitten, twice shy. So I want to make sure that this is numbers that we can all live with and to a person. Now, the individual line items may change up or down, but the all-in, everyone feels this is a definitely doable project for what we're talking about. On that, you can scroll down to the bottom. I mean, we'll email this all to you, but everybody wants to go to the final number. So it's about $2.3 million for the total probable, 2366485. In the communication I had sent to you guys before, I had 2225, so I was a little off. But, my intent is that would be, when we go before council, this would be a not to exceed.
But does that count buying the building or not buying the building?
Not building the building. And then 925 of that's financed by the county. And I'll walk through those numbers for you in a second.
And it doesn't have the takeaway for the grant though either, right?
Not yet. No. This is just to do the work. I'm going to get there in a second as part of the budget presentation. Once again, I'll email this to everybody so you all can beat it up. And like I said, there's going to be line items on here that are light and some are heavy. So, if somebody comes and says, well, 50 grand's not enough for general demo, you need 60, I'll be like, all right, well, we probably have 10 grand in another line item. So just, let us, I'm looking at it as an all-in. I don't want to get bogged down on line items, but I did ask for project deliverables to be done for the money, right? So it's going to be the building demo and improvements, everything that we just saw there. Lot grading and repaving, including widening the entrance to the lot, ADA access points, lot electrical, hook and bell, lighting and water, the shade structure on the new building, and then landscaping. So all of those things I'm told we can be delivered for that price.
Stairs, though, or whatever.
Maybe, we don't know. As it stands now, it's not hard-coded in there, but we may have enough in there to do it.
But it does include, there's a little bit of.
Yeah, for sure.
Going on with the
And
all that.
anything.
So all of that,
Yeah.
you showed us except. For
Yeah, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to come before council and do a bait and switch, right? So, all right, it's 2.3, but then we're going to do this, and this in future years. It's the landscaping stuff will sort of be the trailing item, so that may fall into the next fiscal year. But, once we get into this and really start getting into it,
building out the inside of that building, so. I mean,
yeah.
it's got
Knocking on wood, I think we might be okay on this one, so we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, so, there's money in the contingency, there's always line items on the total budget. So for purposes of the pro forma and purposes for the budget for this year, the number is 2366485. So my intention, and we'll get to the budget part in a second, but there'll be some asks of council, and then that number will be in the budget over the course of the next 2 years. And the way it was suggested to me to do it is that we don't particularly know what year the money is going to be spent in. So if I don't spend it in 2025, it would scooch over to 2026, maybe because we didn't get a bill or something. I have no idea. But this would be sort of the all-in project.
You're gonna email, you said? You're gonna email.
Yeah, we'll send this to you guys. Like I said, we literally just got it an hour and a half ago, so. In fact, I was sitting here eating my dinner, updating the budget, so. What's that?
How close,
Turn
is it
7
their
next
first
month.
pass? Are they feeling pretty good?
Feeling very good about it.
Like this is giving.
Well, the devil's always in the details, right? So,
I know. I'm
yeah.
just saying,
So,
when I look
so
at it,
Marilyn, this is how I'm going to overcome that objection, is that I'm going to say that it's going to be a not to exceed. So if we get to the point where it gets past that, and there's going to be a bunch of caveats, right? So I'm not going to say, all right, it's, because we never got to this part with the first project.
Right.
We got to, I was like, oh, shoot, we're not even,
Well,
it's
this looks, I mean, it's
Yeah.
looking good that you
I
got
think
this
it's
far this
fantastic.
fast. I mean, kudos to them.
100%,
We
yeah.
asked for that,
And everybody was super, bending over backwards to get stuff done for us quick,
Truly
so.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. And we know that it's budget time, so we got to get it done, so.
I know how budgets work.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying for us, that was our pressure to,
Oh,
to
yeah,
them.
for sure.
So I'm sorry, I hate to pressure you guys, but I got to get budget approval and I need to
They
get this
want the
done, so.
project, yeah,
And this
we
is all before April 15th too, which is like, CPAs, they tend to be busy.
Nothing, I'm a little crispy, but we'll get through it. We shall overcome. It's been a long run, so, but yeah, so anyway, 2.3 apparently is the number 2366485, so that's what I've used in the budget. So with that, shift gears to the budget. Yep. Okay. All right, so, let's start at the end and work backwards. So click on project recap for me. Far tab on the
Yep.
left, other
Oh,
way.
got it.
Yep, there you
Yep.
go.
There we
Oh,
go.
you're gonna have to double click or make that one cell wider. Yeah, sorry about that.
There we go.
Okay, so this gets to what the mayor was just talking about. So you've got property acquisition, so 1,375,000. So the purchase price is 1,325,000 plus 50 grand in closing costs, all the other stuff that's got to go on. So 1.375 is the total for the building. The 2,366,485 in the site improvements, and then the mortgage interest over the term. Once again, we're financing this over 6.5 years roughly. So the total project cost all in is $3,925,728, of which $925 approximately is the county grant dollars. So the total cost of the DDA is a $3 million project. However, in this project that we didn't have in the last one, we got $1.375 million of new property that wasn't in the first go-around. So if you factor all of that out, this project to do this is costing, if we were not doing anything else, is $1.6 million. And then I have a breakdown of outflow by fiscal year. So the 505,750 is a guess, and we'll look at how I got that in a second. But as to monies that are going to be needed between now or when we close and June 30th to get stuff done, and then the rest would tail in. And once again, they may go back and forth between, well, they won't go back, but may go forth in years depending on when stuff gets done. And then the 188,999 is debt service. So that's mortgage interest and principal over the course of 6.5 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, yep. So that's how the $3 million shakes out. So once again, of that, yes, sir.
Would there be any penalty if we paid the note off early?
Funny you should ask. I literally sent an email before this meeting to the bank, and I said, hey, I've got a meeting tonight, and now somebody's going to ask, are we approved yet? And the guy came back and said, yep, we just finished it up this afternoon. You guys are all set. I'll have loan docs to you tomorrow. So we're good. I don't know the answer to your question yet because I haven't seen that. I presume so. We told them that was what we wanted to do.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Typically, banks, and I suspect it'll be the same with this, but they make you take a little bit of a prepayment penalty, if you will, because they're tying up capital over X number of years. And they
Well,
expect
78s too.
minimum return, so there may be some of that in there, but we'll absolutely be able to pay out off whenever we want.
Okay.
So there's that. Let's go to the grand pro forma. So this is how I got my numbers for the project, and I know that you guys have seen all of this or an iteration thereof. I probably should have changed the date, dang it. It's today. I just did this while eating my salad tonight. But try to guess at the outflows by fiscal year. So once again, we are managed by a fiscal year which ends June 30th. We're currently in the fiscal year ended June 30th, 6/30/2024, and our budget that we're going to talk about here in a minute is for 6/30/2025, so next year's budget, so July 1 through June 30th of the following year. So the things that are going to come out of this year's budget, presuming we close, are going to be 265 grand, which is the down payment, the 50 grand in closing costs that I had mentioned before. About $175,000, I'm guessing, in stuff that's going to happen in this year for demo and parking lot stuff, and I don't know, it's just stuff. Like I said, it's just an educated guess at this point. But that's about 490, and then we're going to have a little bit of debt service, principal, and interest for our first payment, which is $15,750. So the first year outflows for the project are going to, or this year outflows will be $505,750. So that would be part Where that money is sitting right now is in the money that the DDA has set aside for the project in its capital fund reserve. So there will be an ask of council on Monday, if approved, to move that, and once again, contingent on a bunch of stuff, which I'll get to in a second, move that from the reserve capital unidentified, or, project reserve into a named project and with the project approval. And then in 2025, we're going to have $2,191,485. So there's your add those 2 years together, there's your 2,366,485. So basically, the balance of the project being paid for in 2025. So that's the outflow. The way I have this structured is, if you scroll down a little bit, keep going, 925 of that's coming from the county, so 1,455,484 comes from us. And that would be that. And then once that's done, after that, it's just going to be the 188 grand a year in debt service. And then I'm guessing at cleaning and utilities and the dreaded other. Don't know, those will manifest themselves clearer as we get closer and get the thing up and running. But the number I used for cleaning was kind of what we use in my company to pay the people to come and clean up after our 40 messy people on a weekly basis. And then heat utilities was sort of based on just gut of what we used before. So once again, my crystal ball is no brighter than anybody else's, but that was how I arrived at that. So, the building, once again, this does not count any additional dollars besides the 925 from the county. It doesn't include any rental fees. It doesn't include anything. This is just, straight up what it would cost the DDA if we didn't do nothing. So that's kind of it, going out all the way to 12/31/2030, which is halfway through fiscal year 2031. And that date is the date that we hope council reinstitutes or redoes the DDA TIF, but that is the expiration date. Click over to summary budget. Scroll up to the top. Thank you. Okie dokie. So the city running budget. So what I did, and I did this when I was on council also. I love Anthony and Marcy. They're great, but the reports, there's so much detail and the GL account numbers and stuff, it's super hard to follow. So I just kind of rebucketed it. And I'll send this to you guys, but you can see it where my numbers are coming from. It's literally just grabbing their GL accounts and making it so at least it makes sense to my P-brain. But inflows would be monies that we bring in. So the city running budget, the city keeps a current budget plus 3 years. So that's kind of what's going on there. And the FYE 6/30/2025 is what we're talking about today. But you can see in terms of the revenue that the DDA will be taking in over that course of time. And I worked with the finance director on getting all of this stuff dialed in in terms of the expenses and in terms of sort of the expected increase year over year, and he was super helpful in that regard. But of the property taxes captured in 2025, about $1.4 million is going to come from the Rochester city tax capture. That represents 85% of the district valuation, so the other 15 goes to general fund. And then we get $817,700 coming from those other sources as listed. So the total money that the DDA will take in 2025 budgetary standpoint is $2,227,201, so $2.2 million, broken down as follows. I don't know if Anthony's got the finals from the county yet, but it should be pretty close to this. Whatever they are, he's a magic man. They're always very, very close. So, all right, scroll down a little bit. And then we've got other monies that come in as well. Local community stabilization monies, which we've always had. Biz dev, interest. Interest income has gone up significantly as interest rates have gone up, which is great. We have money coming back for administrative cost charge, but we got more going out than we do coming in. It's just the way it works. And the dreaded miscellaneous income, I don't even know why we bother putting $1,100 in the budget for that, but there it is. So the total inflows for the year that we'll have to work with in fiscal year 6/30/2025 are $2,464,170 as forecasted. Scroll down. So in terms of outflows, we've always sort of talked about non-capital and capital outflows. The non-capital outflows, which are salary, overhead, rent, office expense, business development cost, our cross charges paid out to others, which would be to the administration, to DPW, to a whole host of folks that we paid for their services rendered. The total budget for that, oh, I should have changed that number, that's spooky, 666,701. But that's what the math came out to be for the year, and as you can see, it's consistent year over year. The slight jump from 2024 into 2025 was a benefits rejigger, so, but it's, you know, not anything that's overly dramatic, as the kids say. So that is that, and if you kind of scroll back up for a second, so of the 666, just a little bit more, $817,700 we collect from non-Rochester entities, and it cost us $667,000. I'm rounding up. I don't want the spooky number. So you can see that the cost that we derive from capture actually pays for all the overhead, which is fantastic. And then with respect to the running budget, the pink line item would represent monies that were spent on front porch project prior. And then the tan or yellow or whatever color that is the numbers that we had just talked about. So the 505 for this fiscal year and the 1455 for next fiscal year. And as you can see, we've got 325 earmarked for parking capital fund this year. And then going forward, I've got in 2026, 400 grand going to streets and 325 to parking basically forever. And then we go to 500 grand for streets going forward. And then in 2030, we'll have 600 grand in the budget for that year going strictly to streets. As you know, we've got a significant amount of projects to get after. And then, so that's your total outflows for the year. So the difference between inflows and outflows is either a surplus or a deficit. In 2025, that will come to no shock. It's going to be a $672,000 deficit. But by deficit, it's not traditional deficit because we've got significant monies set aside in the capital project reserve. Understanding that the DDA, any TIF, does not have a fund balance. That's not how they operate. So monies that are collected by tax revenue have to be earmarked for a specific purpose, and that specific purpose can be capital improvements within the district. So historically, all of the monies that we collect, and honestly, that's how we've spent them, COVID response notwithstanding, were earmarked for that. So, so all this is a pull from the capital reserve balance. And I moved some monies between 24 and 25 just based on what the architects had said. So the capital reserve project balance at the end of the fiscal year will be 697,253. In my last memo to you guys, I had 988 as that number, and then the prior year I had it $100,000 higher, so the two netted out to be about $191,000 difference, and that is driven by the budget, and then the rest of it just kind of flows through. So what'll happen at 6/30/2031. So as of 12/30/2030, the facility's paid off. Everything is, you know, in terms of all the improvements have been done. We'll have the capital reserve balance each year will be growing, and by 6/30/2031 will be almost $1.8 million. So at that time, that would also be reassigned to a capital, before that, before the DDA would get to that point, that $1.7 million would be earmarked for a project within the district. So should the council decide not to renew the TIF, there would be zero fund balance or zero capital reserve balance at that date. Once again, this is 7-8 years in the future. Yes, sir.
Is our ability to operate as an entity tied to the TIF?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We exist at the pleasure of council.
Okay.
Sometimes it's their pleasure, sometimes it's not their pleasure, but we exist at the pleasure of council.
And we're up for, we technically expire in 2030?
Correct. 12/30/2030 is when the TIF expires. So the whole idea is that, you know, there's a development plan that's in place for the TIF that indicates what projects, what the money's going to be used for that's being captured. Because it's not just general fund money that's being captured, it's other entities as well. And the idea is it doesn't go forever, right? But if the project's not, if the objectives are not complete by the date, then they can be renewed. And I think, when was the last one? 2003? 2000? It was a while ago. It does. So the first one expired, because this TIF has been in existence since 1983, and a lot has changed since 1983, right? So, but anywho, that's a few years down the road, and I don't plan to be anywhere around here, so.
Was Headley even around in 2000? Or
Yeah, I think so.
83, Headley
Yeah,
was?
I think so.
Okay.
All right, so then the tab's going to the right there. If anybody, and once again, I'll email this to you because I have no pride of authorship. It's just my goofy spreadsheet. But my partner's always accused me of having a propensity towards verbosity. So, but the amortization schedule's there for you if you want to see how I got the debt service. The tab BG Edit, if you click on that, Christie.
Yep, sorry.
No worries.
There's I'm sorry, getting texts from the police department. Apparently there's a missing child that they think might be downtown, so I might be able to step out to post on Love Local to help them find this
Oh,
child.
yeah, yeah,
So,
no
sorry.
worries. Yeah, no.
Sorry, usually I don't
course.
grab my phone, but I just
Yeah,
saw
no,
this
that's
person
it.
kept texting me. I'm like, oh, it's the police department. I
Yeah,
might want
no,
to take that. Where would you like me to be?
Gotcha. All right, so all this is literally the budget as we get it from the administration, from the finance department, and what I've done is where it says bucket, this is where I'm grabbing my numbers on my summary there. So if you want to see where Ben got his numbers from, this is where it came from. And all I've done on Anthony's stuff, if you go to the more tabs to the right, is all the stuff I've gotten from Anthony and Marcy, so. But I just take their stuff and I try and make it so it's a little bit easier to digest. But just so if anybody wants to know where Ben got his numbers from, I didn't make them up. This is where they're coming from. So really with that, the only major change in the budget year over year is the Graham. So from a sort of process standpoint, tonight, we would be looking at, there's just my doodlings there, so, but if you go back to the summary budget, click on that one. Yeah, there you go. So what we're looking at is submitting the budget. So this will go to council. I don't know if I need to send the projected out to 2031, but you guys will have it if you need it, because all we're responsible for sending right now is really just this current year, and then the finance department deals with the rest of it. But I think this is good so you guys can see sort of the intention of where, we realize that this project, while exciting and everybody's super fired up about it, we have other responsibilities in the district, and we're going to be able to do both easily, unless there's, some kind of cataclysmic thing that we have no control over, which these days, who the heck knows? We just one foot in front of the other. But yeah, no, I think we're going to be in good shape. So from a next step standpoint, it's going to be, after I stop presenting, we'll do questions on budget. And then I'll kind of walk you through sort of the cadence, what's going to happen between now and Monday. So with that, is there any questions with respect to budget and/or the project? Yeah, Don?
It's kind of loosely tied to the budget, but can that facility be used for lack of better terms, money-making projects?
I was going to ask the same. Rentals?
So yes. So the answer to the question is yes. My response and what I've told everybody is that I don't want us to pigeonhole or say we're going to do X, Y, or Z in that building because we just don't know. The idea is it's going to be a space that's going to be used, and it's going to be used well. For budgeting purposes, I'm assuming that we're never going to do anything in there and there's no money, so that'll all be bank error in our favor, right? But yes, of course, we expect it to be, used as much as possible. And the public really is going to be the one that tells us how they want to use it, right? This is just a very unique, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the district to kind of grab an adjacent parcel and make something really cool happen for a relatively inexpensive compared to what the alternative was last time around. So, and we're able to do. I don't think anybody's going to get 100% of what they want in any kind of project, right? So, but I think my goal here is to keep everybody happy-ish. If I could keep you happy-ish and everybody's, satisfied that we're headed in the right direction, in that particular area over the course of the next 10 years, the development, it's just going to be off the hook. So with all the stuff that's going to be going on in there, all the things that are going to be happening in that area, this is just going to end up being a catalyst project. And we're going to all look back, if we can remember 10 years from now, and say, oh, yeah, that's why I was back there when we did that. So it should be fun. Exactly, my walker. I'll be using the handicap thing, so I'll make sure it's done correctly. Yes, ma'am.
open questions?
Yes, please, absolutely.
So just to recap what you just
Pull your microphone closer so they can hear
Oh,
you.
to recap, what you just said to Dawn
Yeah.
was that you're keeping it open because you're not exactly sure what you're going to do with that building and the interior, because it is a blank slate.
Correct.
Really blank slate.
Yeah.
Except you're going to, at one point, I mean, if the overflow for farmers or, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
I know a team of 3 individuals that are probably the best programming folks I've ever met in my
Right,
entire life, and I
that's what-
suspect that thing is going to have something going
I'm
on.
sure, I'm sure.
363 days of the year, there'll be something going on there. What that is,
We
I don't know,
don't-
and I don't want to burden the project right now with saying we're going to raise, X number of dollars through rentals and that sort of thing. I just don't know. But it's going to be something greater than 0. I don't know if that helps you or not, but
well, I guess the idea that it's the flexibility of it
100%.
doing, I mean.
Yeah, I
it's
didn't want to
very
have it so it was like,
flexible
it's going to be
building. Well,
this.
for sure, I mean, I'm sure you don't want
Yeah.
to lock yourself into any promises at this point.
100%,
It's not even
yeah.
finished, you're just trying to start getting it approved, and start from scratch again, so yeah.
Yeah, I just, the
Just
whole,
wanted to understand.
100%.
To clarify
Yeah.
what you were saying. and people
yeah, I
asking.
didn't want us to be
No, I didn't
cute.
think it was gonna be a wedding rental facility
No.
right now, exactly that,
Yeah,
you
no.
know, I'm just
There's no,
saying.
there's no
I'm
liquor
just
license there, so
saying.
maybe if it was an Amish wedding, I guess.
I
Does
do know
this-
if somebody got married on the People Mover, so who knows? you
Yeah,
know, maybe
I
somebody will
don't
get
know.
married
There's a
on the-
lot of competing interests and a lot of folks that don't want the competition. There's a lot of folks that, whatever. Like I said, for me, I just want to have one barbecue festival there, and that's all I care about. So other than that, you guys can do whatever you want. I just want, like a bacon fest. I think that'd be super fun.
I was working with Chef Chris
Rib
Johnson on a
fest? I
grilled
like that.
cheese festival for a
Oh,
little while.
like
We've
it.
got some concepts.
So it's stuff like that that's going to happen there, right? It's not going
That's
to
what it
be,
sounds- yeah,
we've got
sure.
other facilities. I don't want to
Yeah.
compete with, community house. I don't want to compete with the hotel. I don't want to compete with anybody else, right? That everybody's got their space. We have a fun thing here that is owned by the community, and they're going to decide how they want to use it. It's going to be
It'd be
great.
fun to do an Oktoberfest, though.
Dude, it'd be great. We don't have a liquor license, though, so we can't do that.
Does it fall in the social, wait,
Beer
don't we
is
have
the
a
liquor, though.
We don't have
No,
the
I'm just
social
kidding.
district quite yet, but Mills is bringing back their Oktoberfest outside this year.
Okay.
So
Oh, good news.
stay
All right.
tuned.
All sorts of good
I
stuff.
don't think that's
going on.
officially official, but.
So,
yes.
yeah, so, like I said, for me, I just didn't want us to get cute, right? Let's just get it done, keep it, no pun intended, Spartan, for lack of a better word, you appreciate it, there you go, go green, go white. But to keep it sort of not, pigeonholed, so I think that's kind of where we landed on it, so. But yeah, and,
Well, I mean, you're gonna get questions. so
yeah, 100%. Yeah, no. I just don't, like I said, I don't want there to be a misconception out there that we're turning this into, what was the place over there at Avon in Rochester, in Livernois. the-
Rivercrest?
Rivercrest, yeah, we're not turning it into, we're not going
No.
into the,
For your picture, I'm pretty sure they're not.
right, yeah, totally.
You're not gonna.
For sure.
That, no kitchen, no, nothing. So there absolutely is nothing in there.
Yeah, no, and we're not good at that either, so we're not going to do that. Yes,
I
sir.
have one, what's those shade structures in the existing parking lot
Yep,
for
can you go back to that pic?
Sure can.
for the animal hospital?
Yeah,
How
so.
do they work? Do they store somewhere off, like?
So,
out-
no, they're going to be, like the police department, they're going to be parking structures. So the good news is that if you're the first one to park there in the morning during the day, you're going to have covered parking.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
like,
so they're
like
going to
an
be
apartment
permanent.
complex.
Yeah, exactly right. They're going to be permanent. They're going to be carports. Once again, that lot during the day will be a public lot. We've had some discussion about how the thing will be activated. We may have to block off some of it in order to have access to handicap parking and that sort of thing. The Planning Commission video is going to be super helpful for us. Going to be super helpful for us to make sure that we get dialed in on that. And this is, what's the old saying, no good deed goes unpunished, right? So I'm sure we'll figure out something we didn't know. But the idea is that those are permanent. And if you're there early in the morning, you get covered parking. It's going to be sweet, so.
Would you put farmer's market, any tables in there at any time?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the idea, is that during Saturday activation days,
Ice
that's actually going to be
cream.
blocked off, and it'll be part of the.
From the sun.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't put those
Yogurt
lights up there for a reason. That whole thing's going to be activated, so.
It looks.
Yeah, so the thought process, and once again, this is 1,000 moving parts, and we don't know, but would be to sort of block off a chunk of that lot and so handicap can get in and get out and park. But we also are able to block it off and activate the space. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure we haven't figured out that we'll figure out as soon as we do a couple of events and figure out what works and what doesn't, and what people will do and won't listen to, and that sort of thing, right?
The child has been found.
Oh, thank God.
Apparently, they went missing from the library, an 11-year-old boy, about an hour ago, and thought that he might have wandered downtown, but apparently he's been found.
Oh, well, that's good. Thank God.
All good.
Don't leave the library and drive your parents crazy.
I wouldn't have found him in the library. I didn't get the details, but I wonder if he was just hiding in the library somewhere.
Gotcha. Well, thank God it was found. That's good. All right, so with that, any other questions for either or any of the above? No, come on, this is a giant
All right,
project.
so there could be the antique festival.
Dude, that could be whatever you want. We'll just, we'll make sure to charge you double the rental because you got it.
We could have our own antique roadshow.
Yeah, so once again, the sky is the limit, and our staff, we are so blessed to have a really extraordinary staff that has, it's just the limit of their imagination. I don't think there is one, so. It's going to be fun, I guarantee you. We're going to have lots of fun stuff going on there. And then, once again, don't forget, Rob McKay is going to be heavily involved in this, and we'll have lots of artifact and historical stuff, and I don't know if I would assume there'll be some sort of rotating thing coming.
That's what he was hoping, is that we'd have some standard pieces, and then we can rotate and be designated as an off-site exhibition space for the museum.
Because at the end of the day, this spot was the birthplace of Rochester, if we want to think of it that way, right? So, yeah, so that's it. So, so the plan going forward is, all right, so I've done this. So I present the entire budget, the project with the budget parameters, the GDA tonight, and secure vote, hopefully to proceed as presented. So to the extent you guys are happy with the budget, happy with the project, we'll take a separate vote. The first vote would be to move forward with the project at the budget, and then the second would be to approve the budget and forward it to council as stated, and then Monday night, Christie and I will be before council presenting this whole thing once again to council.
Do we need to go into closed session?
No,
Okay.
this is the budget. No, we're, no more closed session. We're out in the open. We are fully exposed now. It's all good. So the second thing would be to discuss and hopefully approve the 2025 DDA budget, or forward the same to council for consideration. And as I showed you in the budget is the $1,455,000, which is the allocation for the farmers market project. So between the two is the 2,366 less than the 25 we get from county. On Monday, I'll present to council with the same ask. Part of that ask will be to ask council to formally amend the DDA development plan to specifically add the Farmers Market Development Project into the development plan by name. So this is a housekeeping issue. Our attorney suggested we do. We don't technically have to because there's sort of generically referred to as acquisition of parking and public facilities and that sort of thing. But it would be more better, as the kids say, or chicken soup, it doesn't hurt. So we'll go ahead, we'll ask for that ask to be in. Once again, the development plan is not the TIF plan. We are not asking to amend the TIF plan. This is the development plan, which basically says this is what we intend to do in the district. We will ask for a budget amendment in fiscal year 2024, so the current year we're in, to take that 505,750 from the generically saved capital projects fund and then move it earmarked for this particular project. We'll be asking council to approve the DDA securing bank financing for the project, so they have to approve us taking on and getting the debt. Once again, I literally just found out we got approved this afternoon, so I haven't even seen the docs yet, but as soon as I get those, I'll send that out to everybody. And it'll be subject to the following, us obviously securing financing and closing on the property. Receiving all necessary planning commission, other required regulatory approvals, so any kind of approvals that we have to have, it would be subject to that. It would be subject to us securing at least $900,000 in grant funding from Oakland County. It's going to be more than that. We don't know. I think you're a week or two away maybe from finding out.
We're hoping so. So by the end of March, our first milestone for the grant is that every community of the 13 projects was supposed to confirm that they were going to be taking the funds and what their total project number was going to be. My understanding is all 13 came in with numbers, so that tells me that everybody's going to be doing their project. But when I spoke with John Bry last week, he said there might be some ebb and flow there. So the next step is that we will be getting 2 interlocal agreements, one for the DDA to sign and one for City Council to sign to accept the dollars. In that agreement, it will have the final number of what we're expecting expecting specifically from the county, but we're still pursuing other grants as well. Once those interlocals are signed, according to Annika, who is John's assistant director at Mason Oakland County, when I spoke with her last Friday, she said that a lot of communities communicated that they needed money up front, otherwise they couldn't get the project going. So it sounds like what they're trying to do is do a 60% of the grant paid up front to the communities to kickstart the projects, and then 40% upon completion. So that's what they're hoping, nothing for sure yet, but I would say in the next week or two, we should be seeing those interlocal agreements come in, so then we can have them on our May agendas for both DDA and City Council.
Yeah, so if those things are happening behind the scenes, they're not done, they won't be decided, hopefully but they're definitely not gonna be done by Monday.
No,
Yeah.
no.
All right, we're dealing with, other governmental entities that, obviously they have a lot
Yeah,
more involvement.
they have a July 1 deadline that they had set for themselves of when they're trying to get everything locked down by. So I suspect once we get it, it's going to be like everyone's hair is on fire and we have to get
Gotcha.
it done. So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so part of the concern is that we would have to outlay the cash and then submit receipts and get reimbursed. So it's not like we wouldn't get repaid for it, but there'll be a timing difference there. But it sounds like, based on what Christie was told, it's not going to be an issue either, which is pretty sweet, so.
Yeah. So I'll keep everybody posted once we know, but we haven't received anything other than confirmation of our submission in March.
Right, so once again, the ask of council will be to approve it, subject to us getting this money, of course. I mean, we're not going to do it without, or unless somebody decides to step in and pick up $1 million donation, we'll take it. The bank account is always open, right? So, and then I'm going to say that we're going to say it's going to be a build out not to exceed 236,645, which is the number including the 950. So ours would be the net of that, right? So that's going to be the ask for council on Monday, presuming you folks are okay with everything as presented so far. So I guess from a process standpoint, I cannot make motions as the chair, but I would ask that somebody make a motion to approve the first one would be to approve the project as presented with the budget and forward to council for their consideration.
Motion to approve project as amended with the budget to move forward to council.
I second it.
Okay. That's not a money spent, so I don't think it's a roll call vote. What do you think? Nah.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, fantastic. And this one will recall a roll call vote. This is our budget, so we're asking for approval to submit the 6/30/2025 fiscal year budget for the year ended June 30, 2025, as presented, which is inclusive of full funding for the market project.
I'll make that motion.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
This is the first time we've seen this tonight, right?
Correct.
So, as you know, I have absolutely no problem with what I see, but I can't vote on this when I just saw it for 5 minutes ago.
So we're,
So I need to,
yeah.
I'm good with sending it to the council. I have no issues, but I can't vote on a full budget when I just saw this 5 minutes ago.
Huh, okay. Well, I got to get it to council. We have a clock, and you guys are going to get it Friday and have the whole weekend. So this is just forwarding it, so I don't know if it's a no vote on the budget because of that, then I respect that, and I understand where you're coming from.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we have a second before you proceed with discussion?
Yeah, oh, sure.
Sorry.
Second for the budget to be forwarded to council.
Second.
All right, you good? Okay, sorry, and discussion. I keep forgetting my Robert's rules, it's been a while. So, yeah, no, I totally understand, but we gotta get it to you guys, right? So,
And we can't even give this to council without this passing, right?
in order to give it to council, the DDA has to pass a budget and ask for council, and have council consider it. So what's gonna happen is we say presumably yes tonight, we pass the budget to council, council reviews it, and they're like, yeah, no. Then it would just get kicked back here, and we would have to redo whatever we have to redo.
So again, with complete respect, and I have no issue with what I've seen, but I can't vote for something I just saw 5 minutes ago. That's it.
Understood. Any other questions? The only alternative is to kick this to the May meeting, which will pass our due date for council, so we got to do it tonight, so. And once again, if council says no, it's just going to come back and we're going to have to get after it, so. So with that, Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
Roger Knapp,
Oh, yes.
Bob DiTomaso,
Yes.
Tony LaPuma,
Yes.
Tanya Karsten,
Yes.
Paul Haig,
Yes.
Eric Diana,
Yes.
Mayor Bixson,
No.
Mayor Giovanelli.
Yes.
Chairman
Yeah, I know.
Giovanelli.
Yeah, no, I don't want that job. I've seen that job. I do not want that job.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Yeah, and I totally respect where you're coming from, and I understand. So it's fine. But like I said, you guys are going to get the bigger bite at the apple anyway. So that's to council for their consideration. So thank you for that. So I think in terms of next steps, it's pretty well laid out. We've made a recommendation to council. It's up to them whether or not they want to allow us to move forward. So stay tuned, news at 11. We'll find out Monday night, and we'll go from there. So on Monday's meeting, so the architect, Steve Auger, will be there on Monday, so with us. So, yeah, so we'll have the full show. I felt bad making them come to 2 in a row. I'm like, I'll handle tonight, because we literally just got it. And then he'll be there Monday to answer council's questions, because it'll be the full public, unveiling, and I'm sure you guys have a ton.
Probably more than.
Well, more than me, because I'm not an architect, yeah, for sure.
I'm just saying, I mean, there were some things I was asking, and you're like,
I
Well,
don't think the numbers will change.
Yeah, the numbers aren't going to change, but
I thought.
No.
what questions did you not have answered that you had?
Well,
So,
I'll ask them later.
Okay.
I don't wanna-
all right, well, and
I mean, most of them were, I just was wondering if he had more answers, that's all.
oh,
I have a couple
I
of
didn't hear any
questions.
additional questions. I thought we answered them all. I apologize if we didn't. So if you have any others, feel free to forward them along, and I'll make sure that we get after it for you. But he'll be there on Monday for you.
Yep, good, that will be fine.
Great, awesome. All right, fantastic. All right. Volunteer Appreciation Event, Madam Director.
So at our executive committee meeting last week, Ben asked the question, hey, whatever happened to that volunteer appreciation event that we used to do? And I said, COVID. That was one of the few things that we hadn't brought back since COVID. And so he said, maybe that would be something we'd like to ask the board if they want to get going on that again. For anyone who's not familiar with that, we typically would once a year work with a restaurant to take over their outdoor patio. So we usually did it in the summertime. And then we would invite boards, commissions, volunteers, sponsors, people that, help us make things go, and treat them to heavy appetizers and a cash bar. That's about it. We kept it simple, but people seem to really enjoy it. So we wanted to see what the board's thoughts were if you wanted to get back to doing a volunteer appreciation party.
Yeah, I think, at least my perspective is, we don't thank our volunteers enough for their time, energy, effort, and life force, and it had been a while, and I'd forgotten, we were kind of talking about it, because I wanted to do something to make sure, and Chris is like, well, yeah, because those were fun. We used to do them over at billiards, or we do them at.
We did them at Billiards, Mills, we did it up when it was Mr. B's still.
Yep.
Did it at the tavern when Doc owned it. I don't think we ever did it at Meeting House, I'm trying to think, but we've been all over.
It's basically, and the city does it as well for employee appreciation, so I just think it's an important thing for us to get back and because everybody in this room, I mean, you guys, if it wasn't for your energy, effort, and life force and commitment to us, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So I just want to make sure that we're tipping our hat and acknowledging that. So with that, that's kind of the genesis of it. So if anybody has any issue, there's already money in the budget for it. I can't imagine that it's going to be a massive budget amendment to get it done, but.
We'll figure it out. Usually the restaurants are really workable with us on
sure.
the food and all that good stuff, and usually don't charge us a room rental, so.
Gotcha.
Volunteer
Oh,
of the Year Award, which I did
We
win
did
one.
that for a couple years. We did a cheerleader, downtown cheerleader award. Marion Tobkin was the original winner of that one. And then there were two different ones. There was a cheerleader, and then I think there was a hero award, something like that.
Let's
I think
do that
around Bob
again.
Bloomingdale.
let's do that again.
Did
That would be
that.
super fun, and just to acknowledge, because I know at City, you guys do that at Community House for all the employees. and
Yeah,
stuff.
we stopped that at COVID as well, I think.
Yeah. So I just think it's, the time to get back to normal, and
My award still for being, what was I, Hero of the Year?
I think you were downtown hero, I
I
believe.
think I was.
all right, well, you can't win again.
I'm sure I won't.
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
actually
don't.
absolutely,
It's not-
absolutely positive I won't.
Oh, I don't know about that. But it has to do with the volunteers and.
It was nice, though.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I think that we want to try and bring that back. So I don't know if anybody had any heartburn over that.
And I'm happy to put together sort of an outline, talk to the
Yeah.
team and see what we can come up with and throw it up for them on the May agenda.
Yeah, let's
so
do
everybody can take a peek.
let's pick 3 awards and let's, have fun with it.
Yeah.
Be respectful, but also let's make it somewhat humorous and have some fun with it. And
How do we know about these volunteers? I never even hear about volunteers.
So our volunteers are all of our, obviously, everybody sitting up here, all of our different committees, and then, like, for instance, Festival of Trees. I have a group of about 15 people that build trees, but you really don't see much of them unless you come to Festival of Trees, and that week leading up, that they're building trees.
okay.
So it just depends on the project. We have a lot of people that just work on specific projects, so you might not ever see them here or at PSD, but there are standard people that we always work with. So, and we do have a lot of sponsors that do a lot with us, and they were always included in that as well. And a majority of them are downtown business owners, but yeah.
we're so blessed with so many people that help and
We're very
and get
fortunate.
involved. So we need to give back, and it's important. So I
Yeah.
want to.
Everybody likes a good party.
Yeah, everybody needs a good party, 100%. So have fun with it, and then in the.
Let us know.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's good. Nobody's here ready to rain on our parade, no, as it were. So,
Okay.
all right, sweet. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That was an important thing I wanted to at least get out. So, with that, regular reports, director update.
Everything that I have is on my report. One thing I wanted to report out on, the county did host a diversity, equity, and inclusion workshop for everyone last Friday. It was lightly attended, unfortunately, but it was really interesting, and talking about how DEI is not necessarily the acronym anymore, that it's more about just inclusion in general, and they gave lots of great examples. It was really well done. They're going to pass around the packet to everybody, so I'll forward that out to everybody once it comes through, but they had some great speakers, and it was really worthwhile, so. They're going to try and do more things like that where I can throw it out to everybody if anyone's interested in going for other topics.
Awesome. Anything else?
Nope,
Okay, events and marketing. We kind of went through it, but anything?
kind of went through it. Yep, 25th anniversary of Farmers Market is coming up, and deck arts are rolling in. We have over 430 decks this year.
Oh, sweet.
They're all due in by Friday, and we have 60. So the next 2 days are going to be big. As they usually are, the Thursday, Friday, we stay open until 8 o'clock, and it's like
They're
deck.
bringing decks at like.
It is
8,
skateboard apocalypse
8:08.
at our place.
Yeah.
We get pizza, we have our volunteers come, and we're
Well,
we're
tell the
decking it up.
volunteers we're going to have a party for them in June or July, so
Yes.
that's great. All right, sweet. Financial report is in your packet. If you have any questions, biz dev.
Biz dev, well, what biz dev? Let's see. We're gonna bring up the, what we call it, drinking the, social.
So Business Development brought up a social district today, and they're going to take up the project.
Oh, dear.
So that
Okay.
DDA board can do whatever they do, and then they
And
can
we'll say
do the
that there's-
legwork.
Yeah, there's over 500 cities in Michigan that have social district, and that there are not too many problems perceived that people thought they were gonna have problems, they don't have problems. And, it's gonna be very interesting.
Yeah, Attorney Crott said that too, so that's good. So, yeah, no, thank you for taking that on. We appreciate it. We've got
And then they
50
talked
pounds of
about
dirt in a
the,
5-pound bag over here, so.
Smart Biz,
Smart buses. Yep.
the bus, and, that's gonna be 6 AM till midnight.
Dang.
That's amazing. It goes all the way down to the
State Fairgrounds.
the state fairgrounds. Amazing, okay?
I'm looking forward to my kids taking the bus from Ann Arbor to Troy, or the train, and then taking the bus up.
That'd be great.
If they're able to do that, it would be nice if they can hook that up, so. yeah.
That's why they're building all those sidewalks between the sidewalk and the street
Loving, I
on
think.
University.
Is
and
that Nick? Yeah.
That goes all the way down Rochester Road. They're doing that.
Yep.
So I figured that probably was. I went by a smart bus the other day and drove up next to it to see how many people were in it. They didn't have anybody in it.
It starts Monday, so,
Well, the buses were going.
yeah, they're testing the routes. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
nobody.
All right.
At least one person.
yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Chair?
Yes, on 6 PM, Monday, July 22nd, we will have a presentation at the Royal Park.
It's our annual business development meeting.
Excellent.
That they do, so, that the committee works on. From 6 to 8, this, if anyone's attended, this is the fun presentation where Nick gives me all of his slides, approves it, and then goes completely out of order and goes and talks about projects I have no slides for. It's exciting, and we have food.
When is that?
Now, he has to be a little more buttoned up, right?
Nope, I think it's worse. It's really worse. Yeah, no.
I know.
The
He
ADD.
does it on purpose.
I know, 100%. Well, that's why we love our city manager.
When is that?
July 22nd at the Royal Park.
Okay.
6 to 8 PM, and usually, in deference to our city manager, we usually have mac and cheese and salad and cookies.
I remember.
Very, very sophisticated, but everybody seems to enjoy, so.
Yeah.
And we usually, it's mostly downtown businesses, employees, and property owners. We usually get a really nice showing, so,
I
yeah.
learned a lot.
And hopefully, if everything keeps going the way that we do, we always have one special project that we talk about, and we're hoping it's going to be the Market and the Graham.
Yeah, we're not going to get over our skis until we have all the requisite nods, and then we'll be off to the races, hopefully, which will be great. Site,
We have a lot going on, but this last month, we've been really barreling on the Graham, working on the Graham, so we're gaining on it.
Tony,
And I'd like to thank the site committee. What's that?
do you want to talk about the planters?
Oh, yeah, Christie got some new planters in.
Nick gave us a reference.
Nick, what did you think of those? I think they're nice.
well, I found them, so I like them. Okay.
Because I know you had a meeting, I think it was PSD you were going, and I said, Chrissy, let's see what Nick thinks. They're nice, they're a little smaller than our regular planters, narrower, but they're nice, they're clean. The other ones are kind of big,
Yeah,
bulky, getting
so
old.
those giant concrete ones that we put in during Main Street Makeover, they've always been big and cumbersome, and they're starting to just not look great. And so Nick had sent us this one. What we like the most about it is it does take up less sidewalk space, because we do hear from so many people, there's so much on the sidewalk. So this same height, but smaller width, but it's self-watering, which is a big thing, because Bart spends so much time in the summer watering everything. That's why everything looks so vibrant, because he's out there hand watering so many things.
They have wheels?
They do not have wheels, but they are, it has a 2-week watering reservoir in it. So the only thing that Bart's concerned about is how much it weighs, because the planter itself is very lightweight, but once we fill it with water and dirt, we think not so much. So he's going to plant a sample and have it behind the studio for a little bit, just for us to play around with it and see if we think people could be stupid and knock it over. So to be continued, but if we made that investment, that would come back here to DDA if we wanted
nice
to do some of those. They're nice looking, yeah. But if you want to see one, I have 2 of them sitting at my office, because that was the minimum order, so they're sitting at the studio right now.
In the studio?
Yep. Yep, they're in there.
Figure out what that carpet was for inside of it?
That is the wicking material. Bart came in and looked at it, and so, yeah, we couldn't figure it out. Tony came over, and in where the reservoir is, it looks like carpet. And Nick said the same thing, but it actually is something that it wicks the water up into the soil, so. I don't know. But we think it would be, so it'd be a cost savings in the watering, because we pay for the hand watering. And then also with the plantings, it wouldn't be as many plantings. And we might, right now, they're all on the corners. They don't necessarily need to be there. We might be able to tuck them into different places where they're not taking up so much room on the sidewalk, and even
They
get
look
some.
good next to the building.
They look good next to the buildings. It could be even something that goes back by the side streets too, because we really don't have any flowers on the side streets. So there's a lot of opportunity, but we're going to just see if we think that they're vandalism proof. So stay tuned.
The omnipresent discussion is vandalism proof. But once again, it's another example of us living into something and adjusting to how it's actually used. So, all right, so good stuff. All right, with that, I think the balance of the agenda is done. Any miscellaneous words of wisdom from our board, our esteemed board?
I have one.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, please.
State of the City, May 20th.
Oh, okay,
And
gotcha.
it's going to be at the Van Heusen Calf Barn, which is half in the city of Rochester.
Which side are you going to be on?
We're going to be on the Rochester side, because I think the Rochester Hills side isn't always safe.
It's not always safe, and it's not always safe, and that's where all the deer are, so we don't want them.
Oh, boy.
I'm concerned about everybody's security, so we're going to keep it on the Rochester side.
Right. We'll have the
The doors open at 6, and it starts at 7, and I'm going to guess there's going to be a slide or two on the Graham.
Excellent. We'll make sure that we have the color guard, standing guard on the line between Rochester and Rochester Hills, so
I'm gonna put some tape down in the middle.
100%, like a body outline.
And I'm helping Hallie with the cake, so if you have, she said yellow, but if you want something different, you let me know.
Oh, no. You guys get it.
Maize and.
Maize and blue.
Oh dear,
Yeah,
I
no.
meant yellow cake, not
Yeah,
the
no.
frosting. but-
Right, yeah, no, we're good.
I know I'm asking the right
Nice
guys,
white
okay.
cake with green frosting.
Right, yeah, no, 100%. All right, with that.
Colors.
What? I know.
The city colors
I
are green
know.
and white.
Well, that was James. I'm not exactly sure that was
May
our.
20th.
Back in the day, they used to be brown or something, didn't they? Like brown, it was like this
chocolate
reddish brown. Actually, it was the color of the building. All right, I think we've beaten the horse enough. Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Now the fun part starts.